The 45th president of the United States is now a convicted felon. Former President Donald Trump convicted in a Manhattan courtroom on 34 counts of falsifying business records.
Joining us now is senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky and political director Rick Klein. Thank you both for joining us. A first-time TV event, having you both in the same studio at once, so we appreciate it. Aaron, we'll start with you. Dramatic moments inside the courtroom, obviously. And we talked about the shift in tone. We know that it was sort of a playful, jovial moment before the judge announced that the verdict had come in, and then all of a sudden it changed.
Because he was ready to send the jury home. He had come out onto the bench, said, okay, in about 15 minutes, we're going to quit for the day. And Trump was laughing and joking with his attorney, Todd Blanche, who almost knocked his head on the table. He was keeled over laughing so hard. And then when the judge delayed his return to the bench and came back to say, actually, the jury has reached a verdict, the mood shifted entirely. Everyone became rigid and stone-faced and silent. The jury filed in just inches from Trump. They didn't look at him. And one by one by one, the four persons said guilty. It took about 2 minutes to read the verdict, and it was probably around count 4 when it set in for Donald Trump. That's when he shut his eyes and shook his head.
So, Rick, how could this conviction affect Trump's ability to run for president?
Yeah, DeMarco, this was a long trial, right? Went over 6 weeks. And it was striking to me to see the numbers that developed out of polls. Our 538 polling average had this actually get a little bit more of a race in Trump's favor over that 6 weeks. So despite all the embarrassing stuff that was out there, it actually seemed to help Trump, if anything. It hurt Joe Biden a little bit more since this was the main event. That said, there's some big reasons to think that this could be a major event. We had a poll out just a couple of weeks from Ipsos, our partners at Ipsos, that showed that just among Trump supporters, 20% of them said that they would be open to or settled on choosing another candidate if Trump is convicted. That's now happened. That's a reality. Whether everyone agrees with that, and of course that 20% is not the same as saying they're going to vote for Joe Biden, but it suggests that there are people for whom a felony conviction is a big deal.
And Aaron, the sentencing is coming, as we know, July 11th, despite those 34 felony counts. These are considered low-level offenses here in New York. What's the possibility of prison time? That's a question everyone's asking.
Ariel, I cannot wrap my head around the idea of a president of the United States actually going to prison. And most people who are convicted on felony falsification of business records do not serve prison time. And Trump is a first-time nonviolent offender. There's one small caveat, and that's the way the prosecution framed the case as a subversion of democracy. The records were falsified, prosecutors said, so Trump could cover up this scheme to corrupt the 2016 election by depriving voters of information about these lewd stories from his past. Maybe the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, will ask for an incarceratory sentence. We'll have to wait and see till July 11th, just days before he's set to claim the Republican nomination.
He still has to sit in front of a parole board, and that's quite a scene for a former president of the United States.
All right, so Rick, the Trump campaign has already started to capitalize off of this conviction, fundraising, calling him a political prisoner. How are they going to use this to work to their advantage? Is it possible that this could help Trump in his race for president?
Anything's possible, sure. And I do think that the Trump campaign is already talking about a record fundraising 24 hours since the conviction. And that's not that surprising. It's been in the news. It gets your supporters out. And I'm looking at that sentencing date as kind of the unofficial kickoff to the convention because it's only 4 days out. Look, any normal politician, this would be awful. It rains on your parade, your big moment. But actually for Trump, because it's so core to his message, the political and the legal have been so entwined for so long, it's easy for him to say, look, I'm going to show up there in Manhattan and then I'm going to take the fight to Milwaukee. He gets the convention a few days later. He'll have a new vice presidential pick by then, and he can just envelop all of this into the messaging. It is possible that this helps him in the end, but keep in mind, elections are not settled with your bases. He's got his base. We know the people that are with him forever. Those people on the margins, the people that might be thinking about another candidate, this just might be enough to give them pause.
He has always been king of capitalizing on controversy, so we'll see if this time is any different. Thank you both for joining us, Aaron Katersky and Rick Klein.
Always good to see you.